We're going to start with making the dough for the cannelloni. Now, cannelloni means tube, or manicotti means long sleeve. So you want to start by getting some eggs, either in a food processor like this, or you can do this by hand in the fontana. You've seen me do that many times. So you want to start with large eggs. These are not as large as I would like them to be. So there's 4 eggs in here. And sometimes you just have to gauge it, and then you just add the appropriate amount of flour. Everything about making pasta is in the hands, and it's experience. There really isn't a set recipe. Okay, so that looks good. So we have 4 large eggs, and now we need to deal with flour. So for this, we're using unbleached all-purpose flour. Has about 11% protein, and it looks nice and white, right? But we're going to add something to it, because look at the differentiation in color with this one. This is durum flour, durum semolina. This is semolina flour that has been reground so that it's a lot softer. So I'm going to put a half a cup of the durum semolina in with my eggs, and then I'm going to start adding enough flour to give me a dough. So typically this would probably take, I would say, about 3 cups of flour, although I'm not sure. I'm just going to have to play with this. So put enough flour in just to get going. And we're going to add some salt. You want a pinch of salt. And then put the top back on and pulse that. And you'll know when you have enough flour. I know I don't have enough flour because you see what's happening. I've got something that looks like pudding. So we want something that's going to hang around that blade. So I continue adding flour until I have something that's going to go around that blade. And when it cleans the side of the bowl like that, well, I know that I've hit pay dirt. Yes. Let's see what we've got here. Yes. So let me take that out and show you. See? It's not sticking to my hands. I know it's wet enough, and I don't want to add any more flour because I'll be adding flour when I roll this out. Just knead it a few times because as it sits around, the gluten in this dough is going to relax. So I usually put a little bit of flour over the dough like that, and I cover it with a bowl. 30 minutes later, I'm ready to roll. Here's our dough already rested. So now we can go ahead and work with it and make those cannelloni. So I always like to work with dough in small increments. So I'm going to take just a small piece off, work with that, and keep this covered. Okay, so now what we have to do is on a lightly floured board, flatten the dough. You see how nice and soft it is. Flatten it down so that you can get it through your pasta machine. If you don't have a pasta machine, you're doing this by hand. You want to bring a big pot of water to a boil because we've got to cook the cannelloni shells now, and add some salt. A good tablespoon of salt. And you'll notice that here I have a pan of ice water because I have to cool down these cannelloni sheets so I can handle them. So I just put them in the water, and because this is fresh pasta, it's not going to take very long to cook at all. 3 or 4 minutes at most. So put about, you can put 6 or 8 depending on the size of your pan, into the pot and let that come back to a boil. And then have a spider or some sort of a slotted spoon handy so that you can take them out of the water, shake them out of the water, and put them in the ice water bath so that you can cool them down. So when it starts to change color, you see it went from that dark yellow to now it's this pale yellow, I can just take them and scoop them out. And what I really want you to notice is how very clear this water is that I boiled them in. That tells you that I didn't use an awful lot of flour for this. But you see how they've expanded some. They do get bigger as they cook. So, because all pasta expands, right? Now I'm going to put another towel on top of these just to dry them off.